Welcome back, everybody, to Park Lane Podcast, episode number 49. Harry Kane is gone. Maybe the curse is finally lifted at Tottenham Hotspur. But we're back. We're not going anywhere, and we're definitely not going to Germany. Anyway, welcome back, everybody. My name is Luke, and I want to welcome my hosts, as always. We'll start with you, Wynnie. Wynnie, how you doing, mate?
All good, mate. I'm surprisingly positive today, but we'll get on to all that. But myself, I'm not too bad.
Perfect. That's a lovely top you've got on.
Mate, do you know what? Like, it cost a lot of money at the time, a lot more than a normal shirt should have been. But I think it was worth it for what it was.
Yeah, for those that don't know, before we came on air, me and Wynnie realised we were wearing the exact same top, and so we had to go and change.
I did.
And Harry Scarf is back. How you doing, mate? You all right?
It's good to be here. Like Wynnie, I'm surprisingly positive, so I think it's good to take advantage of that because it doesn't happen a lot. One Harry may have gone, but one Harry is still here talking about Tottenham.
Love it. See, I came up with a nice ingenious opening line, and you should have just told me what to say anyway. But never mind. Dave will be joining us at some point, so the doom and gloom will be here. But don't worry, for the next, half hour, you've probably got some positivity.
Absolutely.
Anyway, for those new to the channel, do not forget to hit that subscribe button. We're growing every day, so we really do appreciate you all. Make sure you hit the like button. And if you're listening on any podcast platform, make sure you give us a follow and a 5-star review. But also jump on YouTube as well. Drop us a subscribe while you're there as well. We would love that. Also, shout out to Haley, who's not Haley, who messaged us on Twitter earlier. We'll expect to see you commented in the comments. Right. Anyway, let's move on to the game. So Johnny has jumped in already and said, "Hello, told you my prediction 2-2 away."
He did, to be fair. I remember that.
Yeah, fair play, Johnny. None of us got any points in the predictions this week.
I was very close.
I don't think, because we either went for wins or, in Harry's case, a loss. Anyway, so 2-2 draw against Brentford. I think there was a lot of positives to take from today's performance. Let's all not, forget that Ange Postecoglou's sides notoriously take a while to get going, whether that's to do with, systems to learn, whether that's to do with he never brings his own backroom staff with him, whatever that may be, it is the case. I think to get a draw out of today's game is a good result. Obviously, every fan would have loved a win, but draw is what it is. The only problem that I had with today's game, and I was messaging you guys earlier, is that our ability to pass the ball, for some reason, today's game was so slow. It was so slow across the pitch. And, we watched us against Barcelona, Shakhtar, whoever we played preseason. It was a lot quicker. Could have been the low block. I don't know. But, that's kind of my 2 cents on the game today. Wynnie, give us a kind of overview on today's game.
I'm going to be completely honest, and I whether I'm the only fan that thinks this, I thought we were brilliant, and that is genuinely what I think. I'm not trying to play up for the pod. I genuinely thought we were brilliant. I'm sure we'll get onto the finer details of the game, but I mean, in my opinion, dodgy penalty aside, we win that game. Other than obviously they scored 2 goals, but other than that, I don't really remember them troubling us too much in terms of chances. And to be perfectly honest, I don't think we did either. But I think the majority of the good play and the majority of the possession was all us. We kept the ball really, really well. And that's what we've seen through the very little games we've had in pre-season, but we've seen us keep the ball really well. We saw it against Barcelona, where we was trapped in a corner and we'd get the ball out and play it nice and confidently. So for me, just positive vibes.
Yeah, definitely. Look, if we go back to, Conte and Jose times, 30% possessions in games, no shots, all those types of things. Today we had 69% possession, 18 shots, 6 on target, and 6 corners. And so, I think we can already start to see, players improving. We can start to see, tactically how we're getting on. This will take time, and I was sick to death in the Park Lane podcast chat earlier with, a couple of people that were in there, like doom and gloom all day. And I just think, come on, man. Like, if you're not even going to give this guy time, what is the point? Like, what is the point? We were 30 minutes into the opening game of the season.
Yeah.
It was already doing my head in. So if you're going to be negative, piss off, basically.
What I will say, sorry, just quickly jump in there. And for those that think we didn't play well, etc., or there was, for whatever reason they don't think that, or it was still negative. If we had have put that performance in last year under Conte, everyone would have been like, "Oh my god, that was so good, that was amazing." That's the difference.
Yeah.
Like that is the problem.
Yeah,
100%. H, what was your thoughts on the game overall? Goals aside, what was your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, no, I was really, really impressed. It's great to be able to enjoy our football club again. I may be negative at times, whether that's with Ange appointed, with predictions, but the way we play is very, very impressive. And what impressed me the most today, obviously some individuals stood out, but it was the fitness and the fact, because I'm not going to say 90 minutes because of the new regulations added time. There's a lot more than that, as we saw, especially with the 11 added minutes in the first half. But up until the very end, we're still looking for that winner. We're still going. There was no players that looked leggy. They were clearly, to me, a first game of the season. You expect someone to be leggy. We pre-season hasn't been ideal. Nobody can help that, but we're probably 1 or 2 games behind. Barcelona game having to play what I call the B teams. It's 2 days apart from the Shakhtar game. Obviously, having the Leicester game cancelled, nobody's fault. So, you expect a slower start, and that's completely understandable. And I thought, overall, personally, I don't think I'm being biased to say this, but I think we deserved to win the game. Second half, Brentford, attacking threat was non-existent. We limited them. And really, Brentford weren't it's never going to be easy. You've got to remember that, going to Brentford away. Only Arsenal were the only team that turned them over. So you take a point going there. If you're Manchester City, they went there and they couldn't get a point at the end of the season. So that is saying something. It's frustrating because at one point we were leading. Brentford were good in periods in that first half, very clinical. So if we sort a couple of defensive issues out and get the front three firing, I think we could be a real force this season. I mean it.
Yeah. Look, only time will tell, right? But as you say, I was confident in the game that we would have the ability and have the fitness to be able to outplay Brentford. So it's all good and well, some teams setting up and trying to counter-attack us for 90 minutes, but they won't be able to hold on. Spurs will be able to continue this every single game. And it won't, it may be that we're down at one point in the game, but the one thing to remember is they can't sit back and they can't counter-attack us for 90 minutes.
And the low block only works for so long. We've seen that. We can experience ourselves under Mourinho and Conte. Very rarely did it last for 90 minutes. Mistake, it would crave in at some point. And I think we saw that at times with Brentford.
Yeah, Johnny said, no, you did play well, as I half expected.
Wasn't an own goal.
An own goal was brilliant. How can you bag such a weak assist? Takes talent, mate. Anyway, thanks, Johnny. So anyway, let's talk about, actually, do you know what? Let's talk very quickly about officials. Because one thing we have seen, which I absolutely love, is that we're getting rid of time wasting. The time wasting has gone out the door, right? There's a few things I don't like, and we'll get onto that. But first of all, let's go on to time wasting, Harry. Like 11 added on minutes. Look, some of it was because of a head injury to Romero and Buemo, but that's the kind of shit that I like to see. I want to see 11, 12, I want to see 15 minutes added on time. I want this football to continue because I tell you what, usually I watch Spurs like this. Today I watch Spurs like this. Do you know what I mean? And what do you think about that kind of added on time and trying to take away that time wasting?
It benefits us as a team, like you say, because in terms of, when we were facing a team that play a low block and we're trying to break them down, you want that added time. So I think in this game, this helped us a lot because in that 11 minutes, we went in at 2-2 instead of 2-1. However, I'm positives to start with the new regulations. It's great to see the time wasting cut out. And it's great to see more football being played because that's why we watch the game after all. We don't watch it for players to be rolling around and taking far too long to celebrate. However, if they're going to cut down on the time wasting, they should be a lot quicker with the VAR checks because that is taking up more time than the celebrations, etc., throw-ins. So it's a bit hypocritical. And when you talk about
get added on.
Yeah, true. But you talk about players' welfare, and then you're making them play a lot longer. Personally, again, that's hypocritical. But I expected nothing different. Interesting. I don't have a problem with the extra added minutes, but some fans will do. Suppose you get more value for your money, if you like, if you go in, or more value for your TV money. But no, it benefits us as a team.
Yeah, definitely. And Wynnie, the one thing I don't really like is this ridiculous refereeing. Like, I don't mind the fact that they're going to start, booking players for dissent or managers for, running out their technical area, because there's certain managers that do that a lot. There are certain things that go in certain ways. I just watched, Wynnie, the Liverpool-Chelsea game. And at one point, McAllister gets hacked down and then he gets the yellow card for dissent afterwards. Like, it seems a bit ridiculous, that. Do you know what I mean?
I must admit, I didn't watch the Spurs game was the first game I've actually watched of the weekend, but I watched Match of the Day yesterday night, and I don't recall seeing as strict officiating as what we had in our game. You know what I mean? It's got to be consistent. If you're going to do it, every referee across every game in the Premier League has to do the same thing, because it could quite easily have ended up in a red card today. Because I know obviously Maddison was booked for dissent, and he made a couple of tackles afterwards that were quite cynical. So it could have ended badly for us, and it could have ended in a red card. So, but what I'm trying to say is, it's just our issue with the Premier League referees. I don't think it's so much their ability and their quality of refereeing. It's the consistency. It's we see one decision go in one game, and in a game the following day, the same thing can happen with a different outcome. And I think that's the problem. I don't mind the yellows for dissent, because hopefully it will cut. Eventually it will cut it out of the game, because you'll get people like who are. Let's say people like Romero, for example, who I could imagine being booked for dissent every week, even though he didn't today. But I could just see it happening too often. So I don't mind it, but it's just got to be consistent.
Yeah, definitely. Agree, mate. Yeah. Agree. Good evening to Holly in the chat. If you are in the chat, don't forget to stick a comment and let us know, I don't know, where you're watching from, what you thought of the game today, etc. But Dave, I'll come to you, actually. You've joined just in time. Welcome back to the first goal. So 11 minutes in, we get a free kick at the edge of the box, thanks to James Maddison. He whips the ball in, and Romero just slab heads it into the back of the net. What did you make of the goal?
It's exactly why we signed Maddison. Exactly why we signed Maddison, for that reason. I mean, how long have we been crying out for someone that can cross a fucking ball? To put a decent ball into the box for someone to attack. We've been saying it for so long that we need an attacking midfielder, for as long as I can possibly remember. So, yeah, you know what? It's a good goal. The whole Romero thing confused the hell out of me, though. I'm not going to lie. He was fit enough to smash a ball into the net with his head, but 20 seconds later, he's being subbed. And then we have Bambi on ice come on, and it's a different game.
Yeah, definitely, mate. And Harry, I'll actually move on to you for that bit, because... yeah, seconds after Romero slams his head against the ball, he gets subbed off for... and it wasn't a concussion substitution from what I was hearing. It was just obviously it was for that, but they didn't use their, allotted concussion substitution. Do you think that's Ange just saying, do you know what? We need this player this season, and we can't have him missing games. So to take any precaution, we're just going to take him off?
Yeah, partly, and I think he didn't use the concussion sub because that would have meant Brentford had got an extra sub and they could have used that tactically. So I don't think he would have wanted that. I think he's probably just got told by his medical team, because Romero made a bit of a fuss of it after he put scored. So I think Ange was playing it safe. And once you've got the player ready in Sanchez, it's hard to say, sit back down, he's all right now. He's probably, again, getting to see more minutes with Sanchez on the pitch, understanding who's his best defenders, getting extra minutes out of defenders as well. Ange is the manager. He makes the decision. I can't argue with it. But for me, the player says he's fine. He's fine, but he probably took the advice of the medical team. So it's definitely a strange one, put it that way.
Yeah, Wynnie, do you think it's a good thing that we are taking these precautions? Because I remember Jan Vertonghen, I think it's Champions League game, wasn't it? And he came on and looked like he could barely stand up, could he? Look like a boxer after 11 rounds.
Yeah, no, I think it's the way that the football is nowadays. It was the right thing to do. It may not have been the right thing for us as a team, but for individually for Romero, it was the right thing to do. We've seen it before, like you say, with Jan Vertonghen. We've seen so many. And I mean, to be perfectly honest, when he was sat, obviously he stormed off to start with. We all saw that. And then eventually they showed him back on the camera and he was back on the bench. Even then, if I'm perfectly honest, he didn't look 100% to me then. You know what I mean?
I think he's always got a screw loose, though, to be honest. I don't think he always...
No, but I mean, he was sitting there and he just looked a bit distant, do you know what I mean? So I don't think he was 100% then. So it was definitely the right choice. You know, and I'm going to be controversial here. I thought that when he came in, I thought Davinson Sanchez didn't do a lot wrong.
Yeah.
Do you know what it is with Sanchez, right? It's that
there's too much history.
Like, the thing is, he didn't have a bad game, but he doesn't fill you with any confidence.
No, he doesn't.
Like,
he doesn't.
Whenever he gets the ball, we all sit there like, oh shit,
100%.
you know. And that's the worry with him. It's whether he can eradicate those mistakes. But we still need another centre back. We can't go into the rest of this season with Davinson Sanchez and Eric Dyer as our backup options, because let's be honest, they're not good enough. If we want to challenge for where we want to be and get into places that we want to, a position of where we can potentially win things, you're not going to win things with those two at the back. One injury to Romero and Van der Ven, who looked unbelievable today, by the way, since his debut, and he's had 3 training sessions. You need a strong backup. That's the thing. You look at City, they lose Akanji, they've got Ake, Gvardiol, Laporte. They're stacked. Even Arsenal now, they've got Ben White, they've got Timber, they've got Gabriel, they've got Saliba, so to be challenging up where we want to be, we have to have a decent backup. We don't have that.
No, I agree. I think, I've got a feeling that, there will be another incoming come in, but it may obviously depend on outgoings. But let's move on to the next goal. So 25 minutes in, went to 1-1 thanks to a penalty from Buemo. And Harry Scarf, I'm going to come to you for this one to start with. But, we'll go around the houses and give our opinions on this. What's your opinion on the foul by Heung-min Son? He comes in, captain duty, and the first thing he does, gives away a penalty.
He means well, but I think he gets it all wrong. And I'd love to sit here and go like I usually do, oh, it's not a penalty, because you don't like to see soft things given. But for me, that's clear and obvious. He arrives late on the scene. He leaves his trailing leg out. It's enough for anyone to fall over. It's a clear penalty. It was given back in 2016. It's been given ever since I've been watching football. You leave a trailing leg, player tricks, clever, perhaps he's looking for hit, but it's a clear foul. I don't know what took so long personally. I think it's a 10-15 second decision. But if you're going to take that long at the same time, then give the benefit of the doubt to Son, because if you're taking that long to review it, you're looking for something minuscule. For me, it was a clear foul. Lots of people disagree. I know. I just think we've got to be honest and put bias aside and go, if that was down the other end, we'd be absolutely screaming for a penalty and people would be whinging all night. Yeah,
fair enough. Before I go to the other two, I'm going to have my little say. And then we can move over to this side of the room. But look, first of all, it's a striker's challenge, right? It's an attacker's challenge. He has no business, realistically making challenges like that there. Now, what happens is that Son does make contact with the standing leg of the attacker, right? But it's the other leg which suddenly gives way and he falls to the floor. Like, I don't believe that action from Son caused the player to go down, which then would cause it to be a penalty. Now, what we're also looking at is we're looking at a referee who said no penalty. And then we looked at VAR, who said, clear and obvious error here. Like, there is no clear and obvious error. And so that's where I really, really don't like, the decision. But Dave, I'll come to you next. Give me your thoughts on it.
I mean, it's soft. Son was a bit eager to rush back the way he did, but you know what did it for me? It was the staggered fall. So, he makes the tiniest bit of contact, and then Jensen is like 20 minutes later, acts like he's just been shot. It's falling in stages, isn't it? He gets touched. He realises Cruyff turn's going to be a bit far ahead of him, and he's like, oh, what can I do now? I know, I'll face plant the floor and put my arms in the air. So for me, it's soft. It's one of them things that I just think that I've seen loads of them not given. I've seen loads of them given. So it's all about opinion. So Harry's right in saying that it's a penalty because it has been given lots of times. But in my eyes, and I've been watching football a long time. I've played football a long time. It's not a penalty. There is always going to be contact. It's a contact sport. Always going to be some form of contact. If we're giving penalties for that this season, we're in big trouble because there's going to be a hell of a lot.
What I will say, Dave, is something we can probably both agree on is that consistency is needed. When he pointed it out, because they've been given and they haven't been given. We just want one or the other. But what I will say is, if VAR takes that long to decide whether it's a clear and obvious error or not, like Luke says, it cannot be a clear and obvious error if you're going to spend 2-3 minutes looking at it. We need to VAR. The next two things I want to see introduced, the next rules. One is referees to be mic'd up, and two, to be there 30-second restriction on how long it takes to look at VAR. It shouldn't take no longer than that. 30 seconds, you can get a good 5, 6, 7 solid looks, but that was way too long, and that's why we had mainly 11 minutes of stoppage time.
It's not a penalty, though, in my eyes, I have to say. I think it's too soft to be given as a penalty. I think if that happens anywhere else on the pitch, game carries on, things move on. I'm dying to hear from Wynnie on this situation.
He's sat there with a face like thunder as well.
I think he agrees with you.
Go on, Wynnie.
It's absolute bullshit. It's not. and mate, I am, and I like to think I am as unbiased as I possibly can be because I'm realistic. And yeah, obviously, if it happened at the other end of the pitch, I would scream for it, of course. But then when I looked at it in VAR terms and it wasn't given, I would understand why it wasn't given. Do you know what I mean? Because in the speed of how football is, things look completely differently. So look, it's not a penalty. Son was eager to get in. Yeah, I get that. I wouldn't even call it a trailing leg, to be honest. It was more of just an attempt. It wasn't like a trailing leg is completely different. It was just an attempt to try and nick the ball away. That's all it was.
He didn't hang his leg out, did he?
No. And he's literally caught the guy's ankle. But the interesting thing is, it was obviously a delayed reaction. And then he also, anyone can, I beg you all to go and watch it back. He holds the opposite ankle to the one that was clipped. So that tells you how much contact there was. What I don't like is not every bit of contact is a foul. We need to understand that. And for some strange reason, as soon as the ball is inside that 18-yard box, people just think the rules change. They don't. The rules are the same whether it's inside the box or outside the box. It's not a penalty. What I will say as well is if we're going to start doing that, there was a point in the second half where the ball got crossed in the box to Richarlison and the defender's got his arms all over him. Well, if you're gonna give the one against Son, then you have to give that because that is contact. That's restricting a player from going towards the ball. That's as much as a penalty as the rest of them.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Callum, welcome to the show. Just to let everybody know, Callum is the newest member now of the Park Lane podcast team. So welcome, mate. Penalty or no penalty, Callum?
No penalty. Too soft. I think that even like what Wynnie was saying, if you give everything that is going to be going touching, even if you touch someone in the box now, if everyone goes down, then Jesus, 11 minutes added time is going to be nothing if it gets given continuously. And yeah, not a penalty, because if you're going to give that as a penalty, like when he said, you give the one against Richarlison in the second half, there's got to be consistency or you don't do them at all. Simple as that.
So are we saying, Callum, that you should just go down? Any contact go down?
No, not at all, mate. It's literally, you need to have a justified reason. And with the delayed reaction from, I think, was it Janel that went down? Jensen. With Jensen going down, I mean, the fact that Son was going through there and then I guess Son tripped the guy up after the ball had already been played. So I guess, do you go from the first instance or do you pick up the second instance where, Jensen's gone over and then ended up on his backside? I don't understand it, because if VAR is going to overturn everything that a ref's going to do on the pitch, is there any real need for referees anymore? You might as well just have them kick about a ball and have a video assistant just pointing something out, and then just someone with a whistle in the crowd just doing it instead. That's the thing. So there's got to be consistency in all the decisions, and I think the VAR is going to be a very fun topic going forward for the next couple of years. Let's put it that way.
I need you to back me up, Callum.
Huh?
Needed Callum to back me up. Won't be buying him a drink again.
Oh, I offered. Don't push your luck.
No, you did to me, man. I
Don't
need you to back me up.
Took a drink off a 14-year-old. You're a cheap git, you.
He deserved it. He didn't back me up.
Anyway, let's move on. Dave, I'll come back to you. Actually, no, I'll go to Wynnie. 36 minutes in. Spurs are 2-1 down. Cross comes in. One of the worst shots you've ever seen from Visa. I don't know if that's how you say it. And Van der Ven's there, pokes his leg out, knocks it beyond Vicario. And we're 2-1 down and everyone's crying in their armchairs. What do you make of that?
I don't think there was the only fault I can make for that goal was just a bit of a lapse of concentration from Emerson Royale, allowing the player to get in behind him. Other than that, I mean, we could probably argue that the player was on. He wasn't on the edge of the box; he was just inside the box, wasn't he? Really, but he was left unmarked. That for whatever reason that is. Maybe it was a lack of numbers getting back. I don't know, but I don't think there was too much wrong with the goal, to be honest. It was like you said, it was a crap shot. Any other day, Van der Ven makes a massive block. I say a massive block; it wasn't even a good shot. But any other day, Van der Ven makes a block. We clear it, and then it doesn't go in. So. There's not much more you can say on it. I don't think it was just lapse of concentration from Emerson Royale. We could have been a little bit better defensively, but other than that, it was just a goal.
I think if the strike or the contact with the ball is much harder, it doesn't go in. Does that make sense?
I think it would deflect a bit more off Van der Ven and possibly go over or wide or whatever. But I think because it was such a weak shot, there wasn't much of a deflection, but it was enough to take it over Vicario.
Yeah, definitely. And then Callum, we'll come to you for the next one. So 49 minutes into the game, Emerson Royale at the edge of the box and just rifles it into the back of the net. And everyone was probably screaming, don't shoot, but he did. And ends up in the back of the net.
I was shocked. I mean, I
think you're the only one, mate. I think everyone was.
I think purely because we've seen that half of our forward line can't even do a shot like that, and yet somehow he pulls that off. I mean, it was lovely. I mean, it was very congested around that box, and for Maddison to pick him out was good. And then I think just Royale just put his laces through it and just actually made a good shot. That's the thing. It's to get it that low and straight in the bottom corner kind of reminded me of some of Kane's goals, and that's how hurtful it is when you see it. But yeah, I think great goal from the fullback and all that. But when you look at the goals that he's actually scored in his top career, there've been some magical moments from him and all that. They're just so weird and wonderful when they happen. So yeah, to be honest, mate, it's what we needed after some really. It was a weird first half. And I think that's what we really needed, especially as, 45 plus 6 that we scored or something like that. So it's what we needed, but it should never have been in that way. He should never have been allowed that shot, I don't think, by the Brighton defence anyway, Brentford defence anyway.
No, yeah, fair enough. Right, Dave, second half, had a few incidents in it, yellow cards here, there and everywhere. But I felt like the last few minutes of the game, when, Brentford looked a little bit out of gas and we still had a lot in the tank. And then they kind of just messed around with the ball, didn't they? Like, they didn't really drive forward.
The thing is, you have to remember, Brentford are like tactically superb in what they do. That low block they play, they get 11 men behind the ball and they break at speed. That's how they play. So to break them down is really difficult. I think, in my opinion, Postecoglou should have brought off Son and Kulusevski a bit earlier. I don't think they had any sort of impact. I'd like to have seen Solomon or Lo Celso on the pitch, just somebody else who can try and break down that low block and, play the passes in behind that are needed. So, we dominated possession, but again, it was side to side, back, side. It was just the whole way through the second half. So, I remember, you put in our group chat about, Maddison needs to come off before he gets sent off. And I made the point that he's the only person that can create anything at the moment in that team. So I think Postecoglou will probably learn from that, and he'll probably look forward. And I think bringing on Sarr was the wrong choice. I think Lo Celso would have been the better choice because he could have made more things happen. He's got a better eye for a pass. He gets in dangerous positions, and he could have complemented Maddison in that way. But I think it was just more of a case of Postecoglou didn't want to lose the game. He didn't want us to get caught on the break, Brentford nick a goal, and we lose 3-2, and then it's all doom and gloom as opposed to, okay, that wasn't too bad. So I think he was a bit more conservative and a bit more reserved in his changes. But, I've got to say, overall, I'm pleased with the football. It's so nice not to play this onion ball, this dinosaur fossil football where all of us are sitting there like, what's the fucking point? I actually enjoyed watching it.
And you sit there, and I guarantee you now, two things. Ange is, not going to be happy with the fact that there was too many backwards passes. I can guarantee that from, what I've seen from him before. The other part to that as well is I think, a manager who's taken kind of like the biggest step of his career in his first ever game in the Premier League. He said before the game, I'm going to have to ask people where I'm meant to go, where I'm meant to stand or sit. Do you know what I mean? Because he's never managed a game in the Premier League. And I bet, 92, 93 minutes, he's probably happy that we got a draw out of it. And he's like, do you know what? It wasn't a loss on my first game. And let's move forward and build on that.
Yeah, I think that was the case as well. I think that was why we saw those conservative substitutions, seeing Perisic come on as opposed to Solomon, because Perisic is good, pretty good defensively as well. He can play in that left back role. I just want to mention you, Doggy Destiny. That kid is built to play in the Premier League.
Yeah,
he is ridiculous, and he is going to be something special. I'm telling you. But overall, I'm happy. So. Yeah, I can't really moan too much. I'm drinking out my I don't know if you can see this, my Munich cup today.
Oh, nice. Anyway, Harry, let's talk about Yves Bissouma because, under Antonio Conte, he played barely any minutes and he looked like a shell of a man compared to how he is today. Today, we started to see the same Bissouma as we saw at Brighton, and we started to see glimpses of Moussa Dembele-esque football, ballerina toes, twisting, turning, not afraid to get the ball, multiple touches in dangerous areas. I thought he was absolutely outstanding today.
Yeah, and he proved a point to Conte and said, I get told all the time that Conte's an elite manager. He's a proven winner for sure, but elite manager, not so much. I think he proved that with his time at Tottenham, to be honest with you. But Bissouma, he was great. He carried the ball. He looked like a man full of confidence, the man that we signed bargain from Brighton. I still think that could be a bargain. It feels like a new signing. And people can ignore that fact, but I think it does, because of the last season, because of injury. The manager
sound like Pochettino now, Harry.
Hey?
You sound like Pochettino now.
Okay, there you go. I think he's a very important, it can be a really important player, a real star of the team. Because let's be honest, the Bissouma we signed at Brighton, any club in Europe would have taken and would have been jealous of Tottenham at the time we signed him. So I think he'd be a really important player this season. I liked what he'd done. Very calm, cool and composed, everything Ange is looking for. See him let a shot fly from distance because he did have that at Brighton. So we can use him in a little bit more of a creative way to kind of complement Maddison, like Dave mentioned with Lo Celso. That could be very, very handy. But Bissouma has a lot to his game, especially defensively. So I thought he was excellent today. One of the probably 4 or 5 players that really stood out to me.
Yeah, definitely. Wynnie, Harry's not wrong there about, shots from the edge of the area. That's the one thing that does drive me a little bit insane with this Ange ball is that there's far too many passes. I remember Emerson Royale was one-on-one with the goalkeeper and decided to try and make a pass rather than just shoot.
He scores if he shoots. He scores.
Well, yeah, well, at least he tries to hit it on target. Do you know what I mean? But were you happy with Bissouma today? And do you think there could be more shots in these low block games?
I was very happy with Bissouma. I think what we've seen today was, we talk about the Bissouma at Brighton. I think he's evolved from that Bissouma. I think he's a completely different Bissouma, a better, much better Bissouma. Like I'm running out of superlatives to say because he was that good. Like his performance was insane, and if we can get that consistently every week, we are in for a very, very good season. With the whole shot thing, I must admit I was screaming at the TV on numerous occasions, like literally just shoot, just bloody shoot, someone shoot. And I think this is what, this is the only thing I'm ever going to say about it is I'm going to allude back to Harry Kane only once. And what I will say is in those situations when Harry received the ball 20 yards out, his first thought is to shoot. And that's the only difference from today to previous is we didn't have a person whose first instinct. I thought Maddison would do it a lot more, and he didn't. To be honest, he's probably the nearest person we've got to instinctively get the ball out your feet and shoot. And maybe that'll just be a confidence thing when he plays a few more games and he gets into the swing of it. Maybe he will start doing that. But yeah, so look, I've literally just seen a stat. We registered 358 touches in the attacking third today, which was more than we did in any game last season at all. And that's our very first game away at Brentford. So if
that's not one question with a one-word answer from all of you.
Yeah.
Remember Richarlison went through into the box and did that fall-over shot thing that he does?
Yeah.
You don't remember that? Does Harry Kane score that?
Yes.
Yeah, of course he does, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't want to know.
You're such a moron.
Oh, it's coming. Don't worry.
Anyway, Winnie, I'll let you use the word Harry Kane once. Everyone's allowed a free pass today. After today, it'll be like Voldemort, and we'll never mention the name ever again. Never darken this doorstep. Anyway, Callum, talk to me about Van de Ven today. Rival fans will look at his performance today and say, what you're also excited about, what did he really do that was that good? But what they don't understand is, this guy only came to us a few days ago. He had 3 training sessions at Spurs. He was put straight into a back line that was automatically changed after 20 minutes. I thought he had a really, really solid game. There was one moment where he makes a tackle, and I think just don't make the tackle because you're going to give away a penalty. And he did get the ball, to be fair on him. But you just don't want him lunging in there, do you?
I think he looked really comfortable. He didn't look like a 21, 22-year-old that's made his first appearance in the Premier League. I think he looked good on the ball. He had all of the sort of swagger about him. For a big guy of like 6'5", 6'6", he actually looks quite silky. I thought he'd look kind of like Lurch out of Hot Fuzz and all that, just wandering around like that. But no, he looked really comfortable. And I remember there was one bit where he ran up into midfield, got tackled, and then managed to get up and pick the ball up and switch it to the forwards. He was looking to play forward. He weren't looking to go back to his goal as well. So, I mean, all rival fans will go, oh, well, he's a centre-back, he's conceded 2. So what? It's his first game, and he might have got a deflection off of him. It weren't his fault. And to be honest, I think there's something promising there. And I think with him and Udogie down the left-hand side, it's going to be good. It's like I said to you guys in the group chat earlier, that I'm still a little bit concerned that in some of the bigger games that we might get found out on that left-hand side, just purely based on their experience levels. Nothing to do with them personally, but just I think they're going to take time to bed in. That's the only concern that I kind of have from that left-hand side only.
Yeah. The one thing, Dave, that he does bring is that electric pace. Well, not the one thing, the one amazing thing that he does bring, because the big issue that I have with Ange ball. And, everyone knows that I love Big Ange. But the only issue I have with it is the fact that we do play with inverted fullbacks, but our wingers don't track back.
Yep.
So what happens
when
is...
they do, they give away penalties.
And then we'll see teams try and play on the outside of us. But with Van de Ven, what you've got is an absolutely rapid, huge centre-back that can cover, when Udogie does, go too far forward or whatever.
Yeah, so he was registered the fastest player in the Bundesliga last season, Van de Ven, as a centre-back, and that's ridiculous. So we only got to see his pace once today, and that came from a mistake from him, actually, and then he chased Mbumo back. And he caught up with him like he was not even there. It was ridiculous. So I think that's going to be such an advantage. And, the frustrating thing is, back to Davinson Sanchez, is Davinson Sanchez has that pace. He is quick.
Yeah.
He just doesn't know what to do when he gets back or when he's got the ball at his feet. Whereas with Van de Ven, he looks comfortable. He looks good. So in my opinion, he is going to shine. He really is. I think he's going to be an excellent signing. I really do.
Yeah, exactly. The one thing as well with Davinson Sanchez that you get that you don't get, but you get with Van de Ven is his touch.
Yeah,
it's always the one. That's the one thing I will say, because I thought he was brilliant against Barcelona. I thought he did well today, but I just don't think he has the mental confidence. He doesn't have, when he charged forward a few times and he went to control the ball, and then he acted like it was kind of a pass, and then tried to chase it down and made a foul.
46 million quid he cost us.
Do you not reckon that's because he's been beaten down so much?
No, he's always been useless. Always. He's always he plays football like he's wearing ice skates.
Useless.
He plays football like he's wearing ice skates, mate. It's honestly it's awful. It's so painful to watch. And look, I don't hate the guy. I wish him well, but I hope he ends up a Luton or somewhere. But he, like I said, he looks like he's on roller skates or ice skates every single time he steps on the field. And to me, that if you're going to have a new goalkeeper, is probably not the most confident at the moment. What sort of confidence is he going to get having him in front of him? For the first, before Romero went off, we looked comfortable. We looked good. We looked good on the ball at the back. We were comfortable playing out. Yeah, we made a few mistakes, but all in all, defensively, we were quite comfortable. Sanchez comes on, and it's you can see the panic in everybody else around him. So yeah, he probably ain't got no confidence, but it's not going to happen for him at Tottenham, and it never will.
Yeah. Let's move on, because the next note I wrote, Vinny, is Wynnie, I should say. Oh God, I'm going to
Vinny. Go on, Vinny.
Vinny Van de Ven.
Do you know what? Because I do think you look a little bit like him. I just wrote the words Vicario needs to chill.
He's a gorgeous little bloke, isn't he?
Yeah, I just put Vicario needs to chill.
What was that? Is that you want me to elaborate on that?
Yeah, elaborate on my note that just says Vicario needs to chill.
This is actually a good thing for me to talk on, because I am starting to, pardon my French, I'm starting to get a little bit pissed off with Tottenham fans at the moment. What has he done wrong today? If someone said, literally here, is that, can any of you tell me one thing he done wrong today?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
He did nothing wrong.
No.
I think he made a couple of mistakes, but
what mistakes did he make?
So parrying the ball out into the middle of your box is a mistake.
What else can he do?
Hang on. Let me finish.
Okay.
Carrying the ball out into the middle of the box into the danger zone is a mistake from a keeper. Where he came, like the bum rushing, as I call it, where he came sprinting out and he took out Sharda, I think it was. I don't know if Sharda put it over the box, but Sharda's a bit more clever there. He gives away a penalty. So I don't think he's a terrible signer. I don't think he's going to be an awful keeper, but I do think he was nervous today. It's his debut in the Premier League. Of course, he's going to be nervous, but he did make mistakes today. But I do think you have to give a goalkeeper, especially that young, coming from a different country, time. You look at David De Gea when he first came to England.
Oh, he was awful, wasn't he?
He was horrendous, and he went on to be one of the best goalkeepers in the Premier League. So I just think, he made a few mistakes. I think Luke's right. He just needs to chill.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Do you not reckon that Ange has actually asked him to be that far forward as a sweeper keeper and all that?
Yeah, I think it's weird because in pre-season he didn't come off his line.
No.
Yeah.
That's a great point, actually. Yeah, I'll give you that.
And now he literally looked like he just had a bloody battery stuck inside him and just gone, run.
I think that was nerves.
Look at the opposition. But this is a lot bigger opposition than we've played in the entire pre-season that Vicario's been in. So that's probably part of the reason.
Look, what I'll say, I just think some of the criticism, like what I was watching the game with my dad, and there was one Tottenham account that wanted everyone to comment out of 10 all of our debutants and what everyone would give them. Not one person gave Vicario over 5.
No, I weren't that bad.
That concerns me because I don't see any. I don't see below a 7. I really. I know what you're saying, Dave. Parrying it out into the area, but the angle that the shot came from from the far side. There was nowhere else he could have put it. If he'd have parried it a bit further out to his left, there was a player there that would have, or there was players there that would have tapped it in. The only player that picked the ball up was 20 to 25, probably about 20 yards out, or maybe more, 20, 25 yards out, and we picked the ball up.
No, I agree. I think the thing is, right, and somebody made a really good point on Twitter, actually. I can't remember who it was, but they said if that had been David Raya doing that, nobody would have said anything because
100%.
David Raya was the fans' first choice. But because we didn't get Raya and we got Vicario, now he's being harassed for every decision he makes. He's a young keeper. He is going to make mistakes. It's his debut. He needs to chill. It's that simple. Give him a bit of time. Let him bed in with, a new defence in front of him. Let them all settle together. At the end of the day, today we had in the back 5, whatever it was, 3 debutants.
Yeah.
People forget that, So it's just more of a case of just chill. Let him adjust a little bit. Obviously, hopefully he cuts out the bum rushing, the Lloris rushing, as I call it, because Lloris used to love doing that. Sprinting out when he weren't getting there, So, I think the criticism, I think you're right, Wynnie. The criticism is unfair. Yes, he made mistakes today, but he wasn't terrible. He didn't make a blunder for a goal. Remember Lloris against Newcastle last season? He didn't do that. So, I think people just need to lay off.
Yeah, definitely. This is the biggest problem, isn't it? Is that, our fan base, I always wonder this, and no one's ever told me if it's true or not, but our fan base are so toxic within minutes, aren't they? Within minutes of one thing happening. But it was obvious today that they targeted from the off Vicario. And,
I think the problem is, right? Go on, Luke. Go on. I'll let you finish.
I dislike the headed clearances at 30 yards out. Because he did that against Barcelona and then nearly got lobbed. And I just think, there's no need for you to be heading the ball. Are you that bored that you have to rush 30 yards out from your goal to head the ball?
We don't know whether Ange actually told him to do that, do we?
As a fan base, I want to touch on a point you made, Luke, as a fan base, right, about us being toxic. You've got to remember, right? I mean, I've been a Tottenham fan. I'm 36 now, for over 30 years, for a long time. So we've all been fans for a long time. Let's be honest. We are so used to disappointment. We are so used to failure. We are so used to being the bridesmaid that it's hard not to be negative. Because all we've ever really known is negativity. Yeah, we've had a few good little spells here and there, but the reality of it is, being a Tottenham fan is like having bipolar. It's fucking awful at times, and other times you're like, oh, this is great. So for me, it's like, and I can say that because I've got bipolar, by the way, so I hope no one was offended. But that's what it's like. 1 minute you're up, next minute you're down. Next minute you're up, next minute you're down. So we are a toxic fan base, you're right. We're only a toxic fan base because we're so used to getting shit all the time. Every other fan base gives us shit. Every other fan base takes a piss out of us. Every other fan base mocks us. Our owners mock us. So the reality of it is until things start changing on the pitch, which I believe Postecoglou can do, until we start seeing that progression and hopefully win something and get this bloody rucksack off our back that we can't win a trophy, it's going to be like that because people are so used to it being that way.
Yeah. Do you know what we do need? Positive affirmations. That's going to solve everything. Anyway, let's move on to some interesting news, actually, because Wynnie broke this to me before we came on today. We're not sure how accurate or non-accurate this is, but Eric Dyer today was not in the squad, which, another thing that I think is bringing a lot of fans together about Postecoglou, because a lot of fans didn't want Ange anywhere near this club. And slowly but surely, everybody's coming round to the big Ange way. And he's not afraid to say to the players that other managers were too afraid to say, you're not part of my plans. But I did read today, thanks to Wynnie, was that there are rumours coming from a couple of sources that Eric Dyer may be on his way to Saudi Arabia, to Al Nassr. Now, we're waiting on to find out if that's actually true or not, but imagine Cristiano Ronaldo's face when Eric Dyer rocks up at the training ground.
Well, Ange made a point today, just quickly after the game, where he was asked about Eric Dyer in his post-match interview, and he said, this is my squad. Eric wasn't the only player left out. There was a lot of good players left at home today. I'll assess each squad for each game, and I'll pick the best squad available to me. Whether that includes them that game or not, that's the way I do things.
I fucking love that. Harry, what are your thoughts about Eric Dyer? Talk to me.
Listen, not Dyer specifically, but we need to move on lots of players. I think one of the reasons that, I don't like to mention it, but quick one mention of Kane. One of the reasons we sold Kane is because of our failure to get players out the door. And sometimes you have to rip contracts up if players aren't going out the door. I know Dave disagrees. We had a discussion earlier in the week. But I think the club were given, of course they had the option, but they cashed in on Kane because we didn't get the money from selling players. We tried to sell Ndombele. The minimum that Galatasaray will offer is 6 million, and he doesn't even want to go there.
Shit.
It's a massive loss. I'm answering that. It's a massive loss on Ndombele either way. It was our club record signing. So we need to move players out the door. If Dyer isn't part of Ange's plans, then of course he needs to go. But in defenders in general, we've got far too many, just not of the quality. You look at fullbacks we've got, and even centre backs. You know, Rodon, Sanchez, Tanganga, Dyer. Maybe some of them would be moved on. So we do not need a centre back unless we get a centre back out the door. Because we've got 39 in the squad. That's way too many. So I'd personally be looking at trying to aim for 32 before the season starts, which means at the moment 7 players out the door, which is quite a lot. If they aren't going, then you have to show sometimes a bit of ambition and rip the contract up because we're Tottenham Hotspur. You're not part of our plans. Sorry, you're taking up a lot of squad space, a lot of wage. Goodbye. If that means Dyer, then so be it. I like his attitude. I can relate with Højbjerg. David, what else I would say about that? Off the pitch as well, I think Dyer helps people settle in. In terms of footballing ability, I think we can all agree it's non-existent with Eric Dyer. It is championship level.
Yeah, talking about championship level, did anyone see Joe Rodon yesterday? Came on.
Striker.
Yeah, he came on late for Leeds as a striker.
They need to go.
How did that go?
Not well.
Oh, well, they didn't win, so.
Yeah, that's cool.
I think it was late on, like as I suppose a tactical masterclass.
5 minutes.
But, we'll see what happens with Eric Dyer and whether that's true or not. Blame Wynnie if it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah. Quick one to everyone. While we have some people in the chat, make sure you're hitting that subscribe button. Make sure you hit the like button as well. If you're watching live on YouTube. And let's quickly talk FPL. Now, I did have a really nice FPL graphic that I made, but for some reason, every time I try and screenshot the league table, it highlights my name in the middle of the table, and I don't want that.
You didn't actually try to do it.
I'm going to try and figure out a different way of doing it, but for those of you that are new, we do have an FPL league for this podcast.
First.
Harry's apparently first at the moment. Actually, do you know what, Harry? You can very quickly tell us where each of us are in the FPL league, but before I get to that, the pinned tweet on our Twitter page, which is Part Lane Podcast or at Part Lane Pod on Twitter. Go to that and you'll see the code for the FPL League. Join it anytime you like.
Where's Callum? I can't see Callum in this.
He'll join us in League One.
He's like at the bottom.
Yeah.
Basically he joined late, so he'll be
here.
Yeah, I think. Luke
anyway, Harry, where are we all in the table? Go through it.
Well, I'm first. Winnie's third. Dave's fourth. Luke's sixth at the moment, is what it says.
What are the points? Talk to me points. I don't know.
All right, okay. I've got 75 points. Wait, let's go down. Winnie's got 66, so fairly close. Dave's got 65. Luke's got 64.
I've got two players to play, though. I've got Rashford and Bruno to play. I've got Rashford and Bruno to play.
Doing terrible.
I've got absolutely no one left to play.
That's true. Dave's going to take over then.
Yeah.
I've got Rashford and Bruno to play.
Yeah, I've got no one to play, so there you go.
Who have they got tomorrow night?
FYI, each week you might get minus points for the amount of Arsenal players that you've got in your teams.
We got one.
Yeah, no, I'm only messing. Anyway, Callum, I'll come to you quickly next. This week, there was some quite wholesome content put out by Spurs. And that was, we got to see the meeting for Son being named the new Spurs captain. Now, first of all, I want your thoughts on the content in general, because I thought it was brilliant. And that's the kind of stuff that we do need to see from Spurs, rather than the classic picture and getting ready for Brentford tag that they put on there. But what are your thoughts on that? And also what are your thoughts on Sonny as the new captain?
I think it was some very good PR by Spurs' media team. I think it was needed. Simple as that. It had to be. I don't know. It just felt comfortable watching it. It felt like Ange just literally calling everyone into the classroom and just going, right, lads, here we go. We got Sonny, we got Matt Cutie, we got Matters. There we go. It just felt quite friendly and quite comfortable compared to some of the other PR stuff that we've seen. So, yeah, I think that was really good from them. And I think based on the comments I saw on Twitter, it actually went down well. It's what the club needed it after some of the stuff that came out this week. Let's put it that way. I won't go into the other content that was released, but I mean,
I will.
Well, I'll let you run on that one, Dave. After I've gone on it, mate. But yeah, to be honest, Sonny is captain. I think based on if Dyer is going to Saudi, based on if Højbjerg's going to go to Atletico, he's one of the most dependable people we've got, compared to, say, if you go for like Ben Davies, someone like that. So I think Sonny does it for South Korea. He's a good role model. He's a good professional. So I think, yeah, I'm happy with it. But to be honest, he didn't really look like a captain today. Let's put it that way. So I think he needs to get used to the role of actually doing it for us than, say, 4 games a year for South Korea and all that. Let's put that way.
Definitely. The only issue that I have with it is I prefer myself a defender to be a captain. I think they can see much more of the game and they have a better ability to be able to do it. But then look at our defence. You ain't giving it to Royale or Porro. You ain't giving it to Adoja. You ain't giving it to Van der Ven. And you ain't giving it to Romero because he'd smash someone's head in.
That's exactly the type of person I'll give it to.
He's still your vice captain, though. That's the thing. You've got him and Madders as vice captains, and Maddison was captain for what, 20 minutes today when Son came off. So I mean, you're kind of limited with options if you are going to go centre back, unless you do give it to someone like Ben Davies if he stays as a backup left centre back. No, but that's the thing. Just based on Luke's principle, if it was a centre back that he was going to give it to, then your other option, you're either going to get Romero knocking someone's lights out and probably end up giving them a concussion, or Ben Davies, who pretty much will not fly, to be honest, and that's not what you really want. So, yeah, I think Sonny's probably one of the more dependable people in the squad that you would give it to.
Yeah.
What was wrong with having someone like Roy Keane as a captain who would knock people's lights out, or Patrick Vieira?
Yeah, but I think with Romero, like how good is his, and this is, you know, in the nicest way possible, how good is his English? Yeah.
That's
very that does make a difference.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Right, quick one-word answers because we're running late and Dave's got a speech to do soon.
Oh God!
But quick one, lads. You taking Gift Orban at Spurs? We'll go Wynnie, Callum, Dave, Harry. So Wynnie, you start.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know what? Based on the Nigerian guy, I can't remember his name now, that we had in the Twitter space the other day.
Ez. Was it Ez?
Yeah.
Like that.
Anyway, he sold me on him. So yeah, definitely. Callum?
Yeah.
Dave?
Yep.
Harry?
Yes, but we don't need a replacement.
Anyway, we're not getting into that, people. We're not getting into that. I knew you'd say something like that. Anyway.
One word. Just say one word.
Well, it's close to him.
He can't. He's going to be Prime Minister, I swear, one of these days.
That's scary.
It's going to be Tottenham's PR machine, mate.
Right. For those of you that sleep under a rock, obviously this week we did sell our top goal scorer of all time, Harry Kane. All good things come to an end. But I would like to come to you in a second, Dave, to discuss this, because I know that this has been getting to you for some time and you wanted to have your say on it, which I will let you do. But for those of you that are watching that have small children or don't like bad language, I would turn off now. But yeah, go ahead, Dave. Talk to me.
So I've got a question for you all first before I speak.
Oh, there you go.
One word answer, Harry. Do you think it was right to sell Harry Kane? Luke, you go first.
Yes.
Harry.
I can't answer that. Come back to me.
Wynnie.
No.
Callum.
No.
No,
Harry.
I'm going no.
So I can tell you now, and I apologise for any bad language, it was the stupidest fucking decision this club has made in donkey's years. Now, the reason I say that is, yes, he had 1 year left on his contract, and everyone was like, but he can leave for free and go somewhere for free next season. Who gives a shit? We've sold Harry Kane for £100 million, probably 70 million up front, 20 million in add-ons, right? People forget we got him for free. He came from our academy. He didn't cost us a penny. If we wanted to balance the books, you get rid of people to balance the books. You do what Harry said. You rip up contracts. You get rid of the dead wood. You don't sell one of the best players in this club's history 2 days before the season starts. If you're planning to have a season without Harry Kane, you don't play him in your pre-season games. Why did we play in pre-season games? I'll tell you why. Because there was incentives for Kane and Son, financial incentives and implications that if they didn't play, Tottenham wouldn't receive certain amounts of money. That comes from, again, the board. The failures of Daniel Levy, the failures of Donna Cullen, the failures of Joe Lewis, the failures of ENIC as a whole that we as Tottenham fans have put up with for 20 odd years. Now, I put out a controversial tweet a few days ago. It's got a lot of traction, where I said, I hate Levy more than I hate Sol Campbell. And I'll give you the reason why I say that. Sol Campbell fucked Tottenham once. Daniel Levy fucks Tottenham every single season, frequently. We are not a football club anymore. We don't act like a football club anymore. Arsenal down the road spent 200 million this window. God knows what City has spent on Gvardiol. Chelsea, God knows what they've spent. Aston Villa spending money. All these clubs breaking their transfer records to sign players, because to be competitive in the Premier League, you need the best players in the league. Instead of us keeping the best player in the league, in my opinion, in Harry Kane, the player that can do it all, we sell him 2 days before a new season. We tie Ange's hands behind his back. We attach a brick to his feet, chuck him in the ocean and ask him to swim. That's what we did. And the reality of it is that nothing is ever going to change at this club while ENIC and Levy run this club. So all I want to say is get behind the protests. Yeah, don't make it uncomfortable for the lads or Ange Postecoglou, but direct your hate to the board. Let them know you've had enough. Because I'll be honest with you, as a club, we are shit at protests. People don't turn up. Clubs protest from other clubs. Look at the Glazers when they protest. Even Arsenal, when they protest, we protest with 15 people outside the training ground. So the reality of it is, nothing is going to change. I see all the time, trending on Twitter, Levy out, ENIC out. Show up, make your voice heard, because nothing is going to change. This club is all about money. This club is all about profit. They don't care about winning on the pitch. They never have cared about winning on the pitch. This is a business. They bought the club for £20 million. They stand to make probably 4 billion or whatever it is. A stupid amount of money they're going to sell it for. All they care about is the bottom dollar. They don't care about you as fans. They don't care about this team. They don't care about that crest on the front of the shirt. And until people fucking wake up, pull their heads out of their asses and do something about it, nothing will change. Now, I'm pissed off Harry Kane went, but I'm over it. Fuck Harry Kane. I've blocked him on Twitter. I don't give a fuck about him anymore. I care about Tottenham. What I care about now is Tottenham Hotspur Football Club not being run into the ground by the tramps up in the boardroom. who sit on their fucking gold thrones and their super yachts. We haven't got one at the moment because it's with the IRS. I had a list prepared of all the stuff that Levy's done wrong, but I can't bother to go into it. But I'll go into it over the last couple of years. We had a director of football that's been arrested and charged with a crime. We've got an owner who's been arrested and charged with a crime. People talk about they don't want the Qataris and the Saudis running our football club because it's, because they're bad people. Our fucking owner's a bad person. He's literally being prosecuted in America right now. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm done with Levy. I'm done with Enoch. You should never sell your best asset. You spend the transfer window signing the players he wants around him to build that team to do exactly what he wants, and that's challenge for trophies. You spend what it takes. You get the players in to do what it takes. You convince him of the project. You don't spend the last 4 years falling off the side of a cliff to fix the bottom dollar. So that's it. That's all I want to say. Fuck Levy and fuck Enoch. Sorry.
Can I rile him up just one more time?
No, that's
please,
it. We're done.
Please.
No, we're done. We're moving on, people. No, thanks, David. Really do appreciate that. And there were some humorous bits in there as well. So thanks for that. Wasn't as bad as I was expecting, to be honest.
No, mate, I've calmed down a bit over the last couple of days, but I think Callum want to talk about the Sol Campbell thing personally.
Do you know what? We're not even getting involved in it. But I do want to go through everyone's favourite part of the show. Well, I've heard so, in my own head. That it's the score predictions time. Next Saturday, 5:30, we've got Man United at home.
Oh God!
I know. Last week on the score predictions challenge, nobody got it right. Johnny claims in the comments that he got it right. But
he said 2-2. To be fair, he did say 2-2.
He did say, yeah, he did. To be fair,
yeah. So who cares about him? We'll start. Do you know what? I'll start this off.
You're going to say we win. You do it every time.
I know. I do want to go Spurs win too, though. I was going to go 3-3, but I'm going to say 3-1 Spurs. Harry, we'll come to you next.
God, try not to be negative. 2-2 draw. There you go. Trying to be positive.
Yeah, fair. Wynnie?
Sadly, I think we lose 2-1.
Oh, Wynnie. Has Dave just literally killed you with everything?
No, I'm just being realistic. We're still in a big transition. And I think they will catch us. We're going to get caught on the break by a lot of teams. And one of the best counter-attacking teams with pace in the Premier League is Manchester United. So I think
they're very overrated, though, this season. I think they're going to fall well below expectations.
Possibly.
What did you go with, Wynnie?
You what, sorry?
What did you go with?
2-1 United.
So I'm actually writing it down.
Okay.
For once
you won't forget that way then. It's quite
Exactly. Callum?
3-1 United and hopefully a pitch invasion in protest.
Yes, Callum.
3-1 United. And Dave?
I want the ground to be as toxic as possible, so United are going to win 2-0.
Okay, Dave.
Dave, do you reckon they've spent all the Kane money already on all the players we've
100%.
We spent a lot.
Don't get Luke started, he'll get upset, but 100%.
No, I agree. I've been saying that for weeks. Before Harry Kane's transfer was agreed, we wouldn't have. Why did we sign Van der Ven?
That's what I'm saying. That comes back to my rant. Where's the ambition from these owners? There is no ambition. We could spend 250 million a season for the next 5 seasons, if not next 5 transfer windows, without breaching FFP.
Yeah.
What I don't understand is Postecoglou said that they planned, if Harry Kane's going to leave, but he's played him in pre-season. So
because of the money. Basically, if he didn't play in Australia, because there were sponsorship deals that Kane and Son had to play.
Right.
That's why. That's why. So it's all about money.
Because he made him he's captain as well, so it seems strange not to be involved. But all I will say about the situation is whether you think he should have gone or not. The timing is poor, and Ange's been thrown under the bus.
Can I just say one thing as well quickly, Luke? I've got to say, they treated Kane like absolute shit. Trying to delay his transfer to the last minute, changing details and everything, just so he wouldn't win a trophy. He didn't win anyway. That's typical Enoch, typical Levy. That's like, cutting his nose off to spite his face. Like, yeah, you can go, but I don't want you playing the cup final. So I'm going to make you sit near Stansted Airport for all day until the evening. They treat him like shit. So it's just Enoch and Levy way. But I've had enough of it.
You know what? The last thing I will say is I fucking love it that we did that, to be fair. I absolutely love it. And that is the kind of shithousery that I fucking live for. Anyway, with the score predictions, what I am going to do is I am going to start a league table with our host score predictions on every week. And I'll pull a graphic up every week.
3 points every time you get it right?
So I'll tell you how it works. I've done this before. I'm a man that's done this many times. So
I have no faith.
So what you get, okay, very simple rules. You get nothing if you get it completely wrong. You get 1 point if the team you predicted to win wins. And you get 3 points if you get a correct score. Very simple rules. So for those
that means Johnny's winning.
Huh?
That means Johnny from our comments is winning.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I can't keep up with the listeners' comments, unfortunately, so you're going to have to keep your own league table. But I will do a host league table every week. And, so the reason why I haven't done it so far is because none of us got anything correct and none of us went for a draw. So we'll start from next week. But that kind of wraps us up. Yes, Johnny, we all know you got 3 points. Keep your own league table, Johnny, and let us know how you get on against yourself. But anyway, that wraps us up today. So I want to thank everybody.
All right, don't forget Barney's comment there, Luke, mate. Cheers, Barney. I saw that myself.
Anyway, I want to thank everyone that's been in the comments and everyone that's watched along. Also want to thank everyone that's always in podcast platforms and everywhere else, and the message we get on Twitter. And also big up to anybody that's been in one of our Twitter spaces. It is something new that we've been doing recently, but we will start doing a lot more of them because it's really good to interact with anyone. I don't know. I'll kind of make it up on the day. So make sure you're always available for my call. Harry, how can everyone find you?
Thank you for having me once again. You can follow me there if you want to, Harry Scarf 22. Do I care? No, not really. Sometimes I pretend to do. Lots of people disagree with my opinions, but I don't like to listen sometimes. It is what it is. Can be quite stubborn, put it that way. If you want to subscribe to my channel, Scarfy Spurs Talk, I'm hoping next week to announce the date. I know it, but I'm waiting to announce it when I have Lee McQueen on the show in September. That's the only hint I'm going to give away. So thank you very much for having me on once again. And don't forget to obviously subscribe to Park Lane Podcast. Thank you.
No problem at all. Wynnie, how can everyone find you?
Yeah, Wynnie 1991. And obviously, I'm one of the admins for the Park Lane Pod, so just reach out. What I will say is everyone just stop getting off on Vicario's back. That's the one thing I'm going to end on this, because the more we get on his back, the more he's gonna feel that
he's
pressure.
Our player at the end of the day.
And the worse he's going to be. So just look out for that.
I wanted David Raya, but back Vicario. It's not Vicario's fault that he's ended up coming to Tottenham. I feel sorry for him, but don't get on his back.
Yeah, fair enough. Dave, how can everyone find you?
Here. Park Lane Podcast, pretty much every week now. Our season's back. You can find me at Park Lane Pod Dave. Again, I'm one of the admins on the Twitter page, so I interact. What I will say is me and Harry, we don't always agree, but go and follow him. Go follow his stuff because he does really good stuff. Follow all the guys. And if you like my rants, interact with me on Twitter. If you don't agree with what I said about Sol Campbell, tell me on Twitter. I'm always up for an argument.
Well, what I will say about Dave is that I don't agree with a lot of his opinions. The passion's there. He loves the club. And a lot of what he's saying, it does make sense. And I wish the board listened to some of the things that they've come up with.
Jesus, he fell off my chair then, Harry.
Johnny's been going the whole time. He thinks that Richarlison is the worst player that he's ever met. Jesus isn't much better. Richarlison is Brazil's number 9 for a reason, Johnny. If you have a problem with it, come and tell me on Monday on my show. But Richarlison is 10 times the player Jesus will ever be. So have a good evening.
Callum, how can everyone find you?
Callum Stubbs 97 on Twitter. I am very much open to hearing all of the guys' views on the pod, as always. I love Dave's rants. I love Harry's conserved stuff as well, so it will always be a nice balance whenever I come on here. So you're
quite balanced.
Well, Yeah,
Winnie's sitting there like, what the fuck is going on here?
I was going to say, it's like we're having a tea party here. We're trying to discuss each other's problems and all that. It's wonderful.
I know somehow you've all gone off tangent on this show, so I'm gonna have to take the reins again. But yeah, honestly, it's good to have you as part of the show, Callum, and everyone go chuck you a follow on Twitter, and you always jump in on the Twitter Spaces and the podcast, so we're absolutely thrilled to have you on. So big up to you. Big up to everybody. As always, thank you all so much for joining in. Make sure you hit the subscribe button on YouTube. Make sure you hit the like button. Leave us a comment. And on podcast platforms, make sure you're listening all the way through. Once again, thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back next week to talk about the Manchester United game and hopefully Ange's first win at home with Spurs. But we'll leave as we always do on this show and say a big come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Leave it out.
Yes.